So the keywords for the year, it's a highly creative year, very collaborative, transformative, because it's a snake. It's fast-paced, it's dynamic and very exciting, but it's also very unpredictable and explosive, and that's just the nature of the snake. And Yin Fire.
Welcome to the GRACED podcast, a space for everyday magic for your everyday life. We do this through rituals, aligning yourself to your soul's purpose, and creating alchemy to heal our mind, body, and spirits so that you can bring in more love and joy, manifest your desires, and believe in your dreams. Listen and watch over at graceduong.com/podcast and on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Instagram, TikTok, and all the places you can find me on social media. Now let's dive in to today's episode. Welcome to the GRACED podcast, a space to explore everyday magic for your everyday life. Here we dive into modern spirituality, transformative rituals, and so much more. I'm Grace, your host, and most known as the creator behind the Mystic Mondays decks, app, and courses. Today's guest is Vicki Iskandar, a Chinese metaphysics consultant, Feng Shui expert, and the author behind the Chinese 5 Elements Oracle, which is published with Hay House. In this episode, we dive into what we can expect for 2025 with the Year of the Wood Snake, Feng Shui tips, and how we can use Chinese astrology with systems like Ba Zi to better navigate our lives and come to a deeper understanding of self. And today, at the time of this podcast air date, happens to be the day of the Lunar New Year. So happy New Year! This is a holiday that my family celebrates and a holiday that I grew up with. Both of my parents were born in Vietnam and are of Chinese descent. So we celebrate through food and festivities, giving out and receiving red envelopes, and starting our new year right with certain rituals like honoring our ancestors, making sure that our luck is on point, and dare I say, encounter certain superstitions to kick off the Lunar New Year right, which could set the tone for the rest of the year. We're also doing a giveaway of Vicki's deck, the Chinese 5 Elements Oracle, over on Instagram, YouTube, and all the socials. More details on how to enter this giveaway are pinned on YouTube within this episode, as well as the latest Instagram post and our email newsletter. Also, if you're interested in seeing this deck fully, check out the deck unboxing video on the Mystic Mondays YouTube channel. Last but not least, thanks for hanging in there as I am officially back from my podcast break. During the break, I was able to completely revamp my signature tarot course into the Tarot for Alchemy course, which is now complete. This is a beast of a course with over 116 lessons designed to support you on your tarot journey. To learn tarot faster, have more impactful readings, and develop your unique tarot reading style. We do this by deeply understanding our past to better inform how we can make decisions for the future. Tarot is a mirror to our subconscious after all, and what better way to know our deepest motivations, desires, and fears by learning through the tarot cards. There's so much goodness in this course, so check it out at learntarot.mysticmondays.com. Now let's dive into this episode. Hi, Vicki. Welcome to the GRACED podcast.
Hi, Grace. So good to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, excited to have you here. And as we embody the energy of the new year of 2025, this year is the wood snake. Is that right?
That's correct. It's the wood snake year, and it falls on January 29 with the new moon in Aquarius.
Wow. So tell us how we can navigate those energies or what we can do to prepare for that.
So the wood snake is a yin year. So whereas the wood dragon is a yang wood year, the wood snake is a yin wood year. and it has yin wood in the heavenly frequency, which is if it's in Chinese, it will be the character on the top, and then snake is a Yin Fire sign, and that's the character in the bottom. So the keywords for the year, it's a highly creative year, very collaborative, transformative, because it's the snake. It's fast-paced, it's dynamic, and very exciting. But it's also very unpredictable and explosive, and that's just the nature of the snake. And Yin Fire.
Yeah. When I think of the Chinese zodiac or the lunar zodiac, however you like to refer to it, I always think about how it's grouped in years, whereas there's so much going on. Let's say if you follow astrology in Western society, there's different transits going on all the time with, let's say, Mercury retrograde. How do we combine aspects of that and keeping in mind the energy of the wood snake as we navigate the year?
Well, yes, 2025 will definitely be exciting if you combine all those aspects. And the Chinese calendar, actually the Chinese use different calendars, so not just the lunar year, and they also use the solar calendar, and it's basically a combination of both. And then there are all these other star systems that if you have a Chinese calendar, it will be in there. And it actually does take into account the planetary moves and the elements, basically the interactions between the signs and the elements. But it's just referred as other things. For example, there's the 12 days officers, and that takes into account the interaction between the elements and the signs. And it's actually very similar to Western astrology, where they use, the trine. All the sextile trine aspects. And mostly it's the trine because let's say one of the best days basically is a success day. And usually that's when one of the sign is in trine with another sign. And it's not just the year, basically. So the astrology that I do is called the 4 pillars. So it takes into account the year, the month, the day, and the hour, which is the same, as Western astrology, right? When you're doing your birth chart, you need to know your birth time. And the interactions between the elements in the 4 pillars give us an idea of what to expect on the day, basically, as an event chart. Or it can be read as a birth chart too. So it's actually more complex and sophisticated than just the year sign. For someone to look at the year sign only, that's actually only 25%. So to me, I think it's just ignorance, or it's basically just the more you learn about it, the more you see how sophisticated it is. And even the solar calendar uses the solar months, which actually falls precisely between the Western zodiac, because that's also the solar calendar. So let's say the year of the snake, the lunar year falls on the new moon. So that's using the lunar calendar. But then the solar new year falls on February 4th or sometimes February 3rd, which is the case this year. And that February 4th or February 3rd date is kind of like our January 1st. It's the first day of the solar year. And that's always when the sun goes into 15-degree Aquarius.
Wow, that's fascinating how we can combine all of these different esoteric calendars to forecast what's coming up. Are there any other key dates that are sticking out for you?
So we have January 29th as the Lunar New Year, and then February 3rd, which is just a few days after the start of the solar New Year. That's when the energy change. And usually the dates fall with the solar calendar. So let's say, the solstice, the important dates are also the festivals. Does that make sense?
Yeah. What I'm hearing is that I think most of us work during the day and we navigate our lives using the solar calendar. So in what cases do we use the lunar calendar to navigate our lives?
Lunar, for me, in Chinese astrology or in Chinese culture, the lunar calendar is used as a celebration date or festival. So a lot of the festivals falls on full moon or new moon. So let's say the Lunar New Year is January 29th, and it's a 15-day celebration until the next full moon. So that will be the Lantern Festival on February 12th. So that's one way you use the lunar calendar. And then another way, of course, to use the new moon as starting point, right, as new beginnings. And then the full moon is usually the culmination. And in the Chinese culture, that's also a reason for celebration. So we always celebrate usually on a full moon.
Yeah, so you mentioned the 4 pillars of destiny, which is also called Ba-zi. Is that right?
Yeah, Pachi or Patu or Bazi, whatever you want to call it. I think it means 8 characters. So Pa is the number 8 and 2 is characters, because there is in the 4 pillars, each pillar has 2 characters, which is the element and the animal sign. And we have 4 of them times 2. So that's Patu.
That's so cool. I'm a metal horse, but I'll have to look at what the rest of my Ba-zi looks like.
You can go into my website, vickyiskandar.com/chart to calculate your chart.
Oh, very cool. So one of the other things that you are a expert in is functional feng shui. What is that and how can we use that to improve our lives?
I do mostly flying star feng shui, which is a school of feng shui that uses what we call the flying stars, which is the movement of the stars based on the Big Dipper that changes every year, every month, and there's also daily stars. So I call it functional feng shui because I want all the remedies to be functional. There are remedies for certain situations in feng shui, and every month you have to maximize where the stars are auspicious and where the stars can bring some kind of harm or possibility of just negative stuff. There are people who use a lot of objects. You see like dragons and you see a lot of objects being sold as a remedy. But for me, some of those objects, I love those objects basically. Like you can see the bamboos there, it means something and the number of bamboos means something.
So what does it mean?
Well, this one actually is just kind of a leftover bamboo, so that one doesn't have any meaning. But the one behind it, that one is to remedy star number 7, which is a metal star, and it's a star that can be hostile. It can bring robbery or violence. And the remedy for metal is water, because in the Chinese 5 elements, water basically is the one that exhausts metal in the exhaustion cycle. So it minimizes the effect of metal. So with functional feng shui, the remedies are basically functional. I mean, bamboos are nice, so to me it's functional. So
when you use functional feng shui, are you taking into account somebody's personal chart, like their Ba-zi chart, or are you looking at it as entire space on its own? Or let's say there's multiple people living in that space with different Ba-zi charts. Are you looking at those charts?
Well, for those, basically, I use the Ba-zi chart, but I only look at the year, just to look at their trigram number, or what we call the Gua number, just to see, because basically the flying stars and the Gua numbers, they're the same stars. So I look at the space itself, and I look at which stars occupy which space, and I look at the residents and their personal Gua number, if it's compatible with the star number of the space that they're sleeping in or they're working in. So that's how I can use it for that, basically.
How did you come across feng shui and start using it in your own life? And did you see any improvements when you did that? And also, before I forget, you mentioned these star systems multiple times, but not everybody knows what that is. So what star systems are you using, and how are you then pointing it back to feng shui?
I just kind of grew up with it. But, without knowing, without learning it, it's a lot of myths, right? And a lot of hearsay. So it's not until I started learning it in 2010 or 2011 that I started using it. And I find that it brings changes to your life without really you noticing it, because you're kind of blending, your energy is blending with the space once you make your space feng shui, basically. So all the manifestation and all the changes happening just kind of happen effortlessly. When you feng shui your place, you become part of the place, right? And it's also influence you. So let's say someone was a procrastinator before, but then once the place is feng shuied, and then you basically place yourself in a place that's very productive, that just kind of goes away. So, which is nice because you're not really making efforts. You just, you just kind of go into that. You become part of that flow of the chi.
Yeah, it's like how every city has a different energy. Like, let's say you feel the buzz of New York City when you're in that area versus if you're like in the middle of the forest, and you might feel, the energy of the trees around you. And so I feel like what I'm hearing from you is that you're really matching your space to complement your own energy?
It's kind of like vice versa, because it's both interacting, right? Because all the elements are always interacting with each other. And there are elements within us, which is from our 4 pillars chart, from the Pachu chart. And there are elements in the house. And also there are elements of the day, of the year. And they're all, they all just kind of, just interact like the stars in the sky. But it's actually, to me, I see it as more like in nature around us here, the chi is actually around us instead of up in the stars.
So when you talk about, because what I'm hearing from you is also about like clearing blockages so that you're working effortlessly in your space and things that might have felt hard are no longer hard. Is that, something that could be generally done, whether it's clutter, like you can Marie Kondo your space, or, find things that bring you joy into your space? Are there any general things that you would recommend? Because, we all have different charts, but I would love our listeners to take away something that they could do with Feng Shui in their space.
Well, one thing is, your space is also a reflection of your state of mind. So if you just take a look around your space, even without knowing the stars, because that you will need to either know Feng Shui or need to hire someone to do the Feng Shui, but just, just yourself, basically. Just look around your house and see what bothers you, right? I mean, you see a pile of clothes there. Well, get rid of it or declutter it, or you see a lot of clutter on your desk and, or you're experiencing writer's block, just clear the desk and see what happens. Even moving furniture around, that moves energy around. So without knowing Feng Shui, you can really see. And one good exercise is just to go through your home, each room and see what bothers you and what you notice and clean it up, basically. That can really smooth things out.
Do you have any rituals for people that you would recommend to keep an orderly space?
I usually do mine when I need to write and I'm having writer's block. So a lot of time it's just cleaning the desk, it's cleaning the counter. You want to keep everything clean. And as I say, if you don't really know where the stars are, keeping everything clean also actually minimizes the bad stars. So
how does it do that?
Because clutter bring blockage, basically. So dust is old energy, right? So that also accumulates. So you want to clean it up and you want to keep it tidy. So keep your place clean and tidy. And that can be a therapy too. You just want to devote maybe a few minutes a day just to clean up in a room. I think make it a habit. And it can be as simple as, when you wake up in the morning, make your bed, right? Because that actually changes the energy. It tells your body too to like, hey, it's a new day. You want to clean the bed. You want to make the bed. And then when you go back at the end of the day into a bed that's ready and that's made up, it makes you feel better because it doesn't remind you of the day before, or it doesn't remind you of old energy. So I would consider that a ritual, actually.
Yeah, especially if it has meaning to you, whether that's a habitual sign for your body to indicate that it is a fresh new day and that you're starting the day having done something that is successful, like checking something off of your list that you then can do automatically once you get into that habit. And I love that we're talking about this at the beginning of the new year, because I think so many of us are wanting to form new habits. And I do have your Oracle deck, the Chinese 5 Elements Oracle, and we are embodying this energy of the wood snake. And so I would love to hear your thoughts on embodying habits for different zodiac signs, because like, let's say I'm a metal horse and I don't think I'm that clean really, but my chaos is clean, if that makes sense. Meaning I know where my things are because it's chaotically put in certain places.
It's a creative chaos, and that can be good, yeah.
I mean, definitely not all the time, but it's like I know where it is because I know I put it in that area. And if someone, I wouldn't say like mess up the energy, but maybe like someone moves something or something, and it kind of throws me off. But I love the ritual of, a clean space, because you also mentioned, like, let's say you're experiencing a writer's block and you start cleaning your desk. And sometimes I do that out of procrastination to procrastinate me from what I'm currently doing or what I'm about to embark on.
But it does help, yeah.
It does help. And I think it's funny how some of us can approach, our spaces in different ways. But let's get back to zodiac signs and, how can we embody these aspects of ourselves? And what is your sign?
We don't tell you our signs. Chinese astrologers don't tell you our signs, but I will tell you that I have the snake in my chart. I have the ox in my chart.
Why don't you tell people? Is that a superstition?
No, for me, it's mostly privacy. So I usually don't like to share, my sign. But I will say, yeah, I have an ox and I have a tiger. I have a snake in my sign. So those are all elements in my chart.
What would you say are some of the pros and cons of each zodiac sign, and how can we use them to our advantage?
Well, that's really hard to say without knowing all the other signs in the chart because it's basically an interaction, right? Let's say someone's born the year of the snake, then for the incoming year of the snake, this is their snake return year, which is, we call that in the Chinese astrology, we call it the Grand Duke return or Tai Sui year. And I like to call it snake return because it is, your snake has returned. And that is usually a very transformative year when you're experiencing your sign return, which happens every 12 years. And the snake, it's a very active sign. It's a travel star in Chinese astrology. So it's very fast. It's also very smart, very adventurous sign. So when you know that your snake year is coming, then you want to get ready for it because you know that you can make big changes during the year, basically. And there are a lot of superstition about having your sign return because some people really fear it. Some people fear that, it's a lot of change is bad, but that's your mindset, right? So first of all, of course, it's to just change the mindset and be ready when your year comes because it's the time that you can really move mountains or you can achieve milestones and make major changes. And the universe is basically behind you. You have it's called the Grand Duke year because the Grand Duke Jupiter is behind you and supporting you. So, but then if you're not really aware of it, if you're not really aware that all these good things can happen, then a lot of things can take you by surprise.
I think in numerology and in tarot, it's more so every 10 years because when you return to your 10th year, it's numerology number 1, which is the magician. So then you go through the journey of going through the first 10 cards every year. And with the Chinese zodiac, since there's 12, that would be a 12-year cycle. So whoever is a snake this year, it would be interesting to look back 12 years ago and just seeing where you were. And let's say, last year, in preparation for the snake return, then last year could be a lot about clearing. And I think that's interesting because 2025 happens to be a numerology 9 year, which is the hermit card year. So collectively, we are all, I think, seeking our inner truth. And that's what I associate the hermit with. And that can also be about solitude and going within to find our own truth. And especially with everything that's going on nowadays, I think it's important to listen to our own inner wisdom. But I'm also finding, since my collective card and personal card tend to be the same, because of the year I was born in, I think that's a reason why I tend to feel collective energies very strongly personally. But what I'm finding in my personal life with a 9 year is also a clearing that is happening to prepare you for another cycle with a number 1 year.
Well, yes. And also the snake itself is a Yin Fire sign, but it has a lot of hidden elements in it. So it's a lot of things going on inside. So what you see outside is not giving you the whole picture, basically, because there's a lot of activities behind the scene. And that's actually another signature energy of 2025 of the wood snake year. There'll be just a lot of behind the scene activities that in the global stage, like off the record peace negotiations or sudden attacks, basically, because it's the snake Yin Fire is surprising. It's unpredictable. It's also, it can be explosive. It's like it's the candle in the dark, basically, but it can also be rapid moving fire or wildfire.
Hey visionaries! Have you ever dreamed of creating your own tarot or oracle deck? Something that's uniquely you and infused with your energy, creativity, and wisdom? Well, it's time to turn that dream into reality with the Create Your Deck Club, a course for deck creators just like you. This isn't just a course, it's a step-by-step journey where you'll learn everything you need to design, develop, and launch your very own deck. Whether you're an artist, writer, or just someone with a big idea, this course will help you bring your vision to life. Creating your own deck is a transformative initiation, a journey where you don't just study the cards, you live their lessons. As you bring each card to life, you internalize its wisdom, forging a deeper connection to the energy and meaning behind every image. It's not just about making a deck, it's about experiencing the magic of your creations, whether that's in the form of a tarot or oracle deck, in a way that forever transforms your practice. Inside the Create Your Deck Club course, you'll discover how to design your deck and craft its theme and purpose, strategies to create meaningful, captivating card imagery and guidebooks, and insider tips on printing, publishing, and selling your deck. Plus, you'll gain access to exclusive resources, templates, and a supportive community of deck creators to keep you inspired and motivated. As a 5-time deck creator now, having poured my heart into both the art and the writing, and successfully navigating both self-publishing and traditional publishing, I'm here to share all the insider secrets you won't find anywhere else. From concept to creation, and from printing to promotion, I've walked every step of the journey, and now I'm opening the vault to help you create the deck of your dreams with confidence and clarity. But here's the thing, your dream deck won't create itself. If you don't take action now, that idea in your head will stay just that, an idea. The world is waiting for your deck, and this course will show you exactly how to make it happen. So what are you waiting for? Visit cydc.mysticmondays.com to learn more and sign up today. Your deck is calling. Will you answer the call? Now, let's get back to this episode.
And the snake tends to take on so much meaning, and depending on, what culture you're looking at the snake in, I always associate the snake with ayahuasca. And I feel like the snake is all about shedding old skin to reveal a new skin. And it tends to be a transformative experience, even if it's painful.
Right.
And I think a lot of the internal energy that you're talking about with yin energy is that yin is dark, meaning I think in Chinese culture, it's also black, right? And I think that correlates with this energy of the womb, where the womb can also be dark, where you're gestating in the womb, or you're growing in the womb, and it's not quite ready to be brought into the light quite yet when you're in a yang energy, which is white. So if you think about the yin yang symbol and how they complement and balance one another. So I think a lot of us, and especially the pandemic, I think it was a time when a lot of people turned inward to really think about their purpose and, what they're doing here on earth in this lifetime. And that sparked shadow work, on a collective level. And what I'm getting from what you're saying about this yin energy of the wood snake is that there's more of that coming in 2025.
Yes, and also the nature of Yin Fire. So the snake itself is a Yin Fire sign. And the nature of Yin Fire, it's transformative, right? Because it burns, and out of that, it becomes the phoenix rising, basically. So the snake itself will actually ignite a new 20-year cycle. I mean, that started in the Wood Dragon year, which is period 9. Have you heard about period 9?
No, tell us more.
It's actually, it was really highly anticipated when the Wood Dragon come, and it's also the end of a 9 cycles. So and it's a 20-year cycle. So it's a major cycle because it's 20 years. And it's associated with the fire trigram, which is Yin Fire in nature. And the snake is a Yin Fire sign. So period 9 officially started in 2024, the Wood dragon year, but we could feel it on the energy coming since the pandemic. And that was when Saturn conjunct Jupiter at the end of 2020. That's the aspect that would indicate a new cycle in this Chinese metaphysics. Yeah, but the official one has been referred to as the Wood Dragon Year. So we had the introduction of period 9 this past couple of years, but then it's not going to fully ignite until now because the snake embodies that Yin Fire energy. And just about period 9, basically, it's ruled by the fire trigram. And the fire trigram is associated with light and the heart and joy. And it's also other realms because fire is the element that can take us in and out of other realms. So this next 20 years, it's just going to be easier for us to kind of jump into other realms. And that includes the metaverse, virtual reality, AI. So all those things will stay and become even more active, basically. So we can't really fight them. We just have to work with them. So a lot of us right now looking at AI like enemies, right? But it's something that will stay. And also the spiritual and energetic realms will be more open because of the fire trigram, because that really facilitates opening up all these other realms. And
what are the other realms?
Like AI, virtual,
Okay, I thought you meant like the dragon realm or, heavenly realms or
spiritual realms. And actually a lot of realms will be connected to more realms because even social media, I see it as a different realm, but then we're so used to it now. Like I'm talking to you, or like digital, the web, or all this talking to you here. I mean, before we never really imagined it. Like let's say 20 years ago, we probably couldn't imagine this, but it is a different realm because I'm not talking to you face to face, right? So anytime we're not seeing people in our realm, it's a different realm. That's what I meant by realm. Even our dreams are a different realm. And when we connect with spirit, that's the spiritual realm. So that's another realm. And in period 9, this will be easier to just kind of go into different realms and then jump back into where we are.
I love aliens. And I was on a Reddit thread about the whole situation with aliens appearing in the Miami Mall. And one of the commenters says something along the lines of how the frequencies are shifting, where human consciousness frequency is rising, so that we are now able to see, let's say, more aliens or more beings of higher frequencies. And the lines are a bit more blurred now.
I love that. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what my mind jumped there when you said realms, because
Okay, so fire is the element that helps us raise our frequency. So that's why, the higher our frequency, the more we can see, and the more we can get it.
Yeah, so my Western astrology sun sign happens to be a fire sign, and something I really associate with fire is this ability to forge a path forward, but also the ability to burn. And there's both sides to it. So with fire, I think it's burning down old paradigms of what we're able to access, let's say other realms, whether it's AI or social media influence, even though I suppose that's already been happening, and other ways that we're communicating with one another. But what do you think in some ways fire could be a negative influence on the upcoming year?
Well, fire, as I mentioned, is also explosive. So our emotion or energy can be up and down, and especially basically with the snakes. So we really want to take care of the self. Like you want to be able to rest, right? Like imagine a candle, it can easily burn out. So it will be really easy for us to burn out from just being active. So yeah, it's very important to really be aware of, the body itself.
I love that you said that, because I think as we evolve to integrate like new ways of being, whether it's like how much screen time we're having, or maybe we're adjusting to things that we're seeing on the news, or maybe we're just adjusting to overall frequency change. I think what I'm hearing you say is that we just need more time to integrate that so that we can then process it better, or prepare for the upcoming changes that are up ahead with the trigram. Is that right?
With the trigram. Well, 2025, the wood snake year, will really immerse us into that influences of the trigram. And the nature of the trigram is Yin Fire. And again, in the Yin Fire burns out. So it's okay to just completely go in the dark. Basically, it's easy to be an influencer. It's easy to influence others. It's easy to share your light. But then it's also okay to just retreat and just turn off, basically, because you need to. You can't always be on, and you want to take time to just really take some off time. And because the snake itself is a very joyful sign, actually, because Yin Fire is also joy and the heart. And that's one thing with the Yin Fire. And it's about light, but it doesn't mean that there's always light within us. I mean that light can dim, right? That light can burn out. And it's actually really good practice to start cultivating inner joy, especially in the year of the snake, because it's really important to have that inner joy, or to have that ability to turn on that inner joy in the next 20 years. There will be a lot of events or, things happening in the world that's basically try to, to dim the light. But if you have it within you, then it's easier to thrive, basically, in the next 20 years.
And I think with so much going on in the world, with typical media sources or just external sources, whether it's like people around you who have the best intentions, they can influence in some ways also. And I think a lot of times when so much is changing around us and we're used to depending on external sources for validation or happiness or whatever it is, there's so much outside of our control that if we are able to learn how to master our own inner happiness, that is something that we can control and something that you can nourish over a lifetime, because you do have your relationship with yourself forever.
Right. And also the fire trigram itself, it's a lot of light work, even entertainment, because that's a lot of light, right? Entertainment is a fire industry. So, and there will be a lot of people who will inspire us all of a sudden, right? Like new stars or new influencers, basically, or new ideas taking shape.
Yeah. So I do want to talk about your deck and what it was like creating the Chinese 5 Elements Oracle. And for those that don't know, what are the heavenly stems and how are you integrating the heavenly stems in both yin and yang energies into your deck?
So the heavenly stems are what I call the heavenly frequencies. So let's say the wood snake year. So the wood element itself is the heavenly stem or the heavenly frequencies. And the snake itself is called the earthly branch. So basically, the heavenly stem in the cards are represented by the landscape. So let's say, wood snake here has yin wood in the heavenly stem or heavenly frequency. And yin wood is like flowers and leaves. And you can see it in the card here with the snake surrounded in the woods. And actually, that's another thing I'd like to add about the snake. But the wood snake, because the snake is very at home in the woods, right? So there's a little more harmony in the wood snake year than the wood dragon year. And that's also the nature of yin wood, because yin wood is flexible and peace-loving, and it's the diplomat of the elements, basically. So there are 10 heavenly stems, which is the yin and yang manifestations of the 5 elements, and there are 12 animal signs. So if you combine them all together, it's called the 60 pillars. So there are 60 pillars, which is the possible combinations of the 5 elements, and then the animal signs. So when the heavenly frequency is yin, the animal sign also has to be a yin animal. So wood snake, since it's a yin wood, the snake is a yin sign. It cannot be a yang wood, basically. So the pillar has to match the yin and yang. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think if someone were to dive in more deeply, it would make sense. I'm a visual person, so I always need to see like the visuals behind things, but I understand the heavenly stems where it connects to each animal. Is that correct?
Well, the heavenly stems itself, they're the yin and yang manifestation of the 5 elements. So if you have your chart, like if you're seeing the 4 pillars chart, there are 8 things, right? And then all the elements, the heavenly stems are the ones on top. And then the animal signs are the ones in the bottom.
Awesome. I love all the different illustrations. And I pulled the earth monkey earlier, right before our interview. And if you're still listening, stick around because Vicki is going to do a collective reading which I will ask you one more question before we move into our fast 5 questions. In your bio, you mentioned getting your graduate degree in business, but you answered your ancestors' call to go deeper in Taoism, Qigong, and Chinese metaphysics. What did that call look like to you, and how did you connect to your ancestors?
Through the movement of Qigong, I would say, after I started doing Qigong, someone like a family friend or a family consultant like, just handed us our family tree. And I learned about my ancestors more at the time, who actually came from a line of just a very strong Taoist lineage, basically. And every time I have Qigong workshop, or every time I'm in a Qigong intensive with my Qigong teacher, there was always messages from my ancestors, like given to me one way or another without me asking, whether it's from a dream or from one time my roommate gave me a poem that was a message from my ancestor. And then another time someone just told me right away, this is blah, 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 blah. So yeah, it's just given to me.
Very cool. Okay, we're going to move into our fast 5 questions. Do you know your sun, moon, and rising Western astrology signs?
Yes. Sun, moon is Gemini. I actually have 5 Gemini planets, including Sun, Moon, Venus, and Saturn, Mercury, and my rising signs Aries.
Wow. What advice would you give to your younger self?
To take it easy, one step at a time.
How would you define everyday magic?
Just things that bring you joy.
What are your favorite rituals?
I do my manifesting rituals on specific days, so that's my favorite ritual, and it's based on Chimendunja. So it's choosing specific time and specific direction and specific sector. So that's my favorite ritual.
What are you looking forward to in the near future?
Breasts.
Okay, let's move into the collective reading. So Vicki's going to pull from her deck and see what comes out.
All right, I'm going to shuffle. So I'm going to do just one card spread, just because each pillar already has at least 2 elements. There's a lot of messages you can gain in just one card from the oracle here.
Sounds good.
And we get Fire Rabbit. So if you're seeing this is for you. And the Fire Rabbit is Yin Fire and Yin Wood in the rabbit. And it's about artistic, about sharing your light, about stepping into the spotlight and welcoming the muse. And that is actually take advantage of, or something that we can listen to for the wood snake year, because it's a Yin Fire year and it's Yin Wood. Actually, this is kind of the reverse of the wood snake. It has the same elements. The rabbit is Yin Wood, and then Yin Fire is the element of the snake. So it's about sharing your light. The more you share your light, the more joy you can cultivate, which is important in the next 20 years. And you really want to work with the muse within, because your creativity is what stokes the inner fire.
Oh, it's so cute with the rabbit in the spotlight.
Yeah, the rabbit is a very artistic, very creative sign. It's like the artist of the Zodiac. And that is also your rabbit is Yinwood. The Yinwood in the snake, it's very artistic and creative. So we want to work on our creativity and cultivate that inner joy through it, basically.
That's beautiful. I feel like so much of creativity is done in solitude, which also correlates with the hermit year. So I feel like maybe a trend that is coming up is seeing this resurgence of creativity and imagination once everybody's had a chance to really have a chance to work at it on their own. And then when they're ready to share it, they share it.
Yeah, and that is the way, and that's the best way to go about it, because it all starts from within, right? So you really have to work within first before it comes out.
That is true. Well, Vicki, this was such a pleasure. Thank you for sharing your wisdom on the Chinese zodiac and also embodying the energy of the wood snake. And I feel like there's so much juice in here for learning how to integrate Chinese astrology as another practice for people who want to integrate more systems and are always learning about different spiritual systems that we can integrate, grow with, develop, and learn as we go on the journey of life. This was very appeasing for that. So thank you.
Thank you for having me. So happy to share all this with you. And Happy New Year to everyone who's watching.
Happy New Year. Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to today's episode with Vicki Iskandar. It was truly fascinating to learn about Chinese astrology. star systems, and heavenly stems, and how we can use these modalities to better understand ourselves. I'm a lover of metaphysical systems, and I feel like the more that we know about ourselves, the more that we can work with our cosmic, energetic signature rather than against it. Like when you're flowing with a river rather than going against the current. I'm also excited about the energy of the wood snake and how it can impact this upcoming year of 2025. What have you noticed so far? Would love to hear in the comments. And as a reminder, we will be doing a giveaway of Vicki's deck, the Chinese 5 Elements Oracle, over on Instagram, YouTube, and all the socials. So make sure to check that out. Until next time, allow yourself to encounter the yin energy of the wood snake, whether that be retreating into your own space, nourishing your fire, and reigniting your passions. Sending you grace today and every day.